Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man. One look at his resume and the reason becomes clear. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self-development, personal transformation, transmutation, and self-awakening, he lives his bliss as a teacher, mentor, speaker, minister, and so much more. His mission is to live, move, and be an active, which is an acronym, authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, emancipate, awaken, and empower people and communities. And harass Tracy. Rev, I guess you know it's your time.
And thank you very much, Tracy. Let us put our hands together for Tracy. Yes, and let us treat her feet. It's fun.
That joke is only funny for you and Sue.
And Sue and I are interwoven, so we are fine laughing about that. So let us continue in this consciousness of what it means to be pulled by vision as we jump into the question: is your commitment greater than your resistance? Oh, say what now? This is an opportunity to reevaluate our commitment to the vision revealed to us earlier this year. Where and how are we resisting the transformation? Are we willing to release it? We are invited to revisit our why. What are we willing to recommit to in order to advance in the direction of our vision? We examine this from a personal perspective as well as an organizational or a collective perspective. So we mentioned this word resistance, and we know this phrase all too well. What you resist, persists. I mean, we've heard it, we've said it, we've read it, we've quoted it, we've chanted it. What you resist, persists. This is one of the reasons why a lot of folks say we have no business as a spiritual movement being involved in such things as Black Lives Matter or other forms of social activism. What's going on in Palestine and Syria and what's going on in Haiti. And we have no business being involved because what you resist persists. Show me a man who is against nothing and one who is for it. Like we quote it and we use the energy of it to misalign ourselves, to align ourselves, in other words, with inactivity, apathy, and spiritual bypass. Tracy told us the story of Zion, whose name means to be with God, one with God, where God dwells. And what is he? A wrestler. So metaphysically, one who wrestles must be one who resists being overtaken by the opponent. So we clearly must understand that this word in and of itself, resist, is far more than just a word we have to take at face value. Resist as a word, resistance as a word is not the issue. Opposition, what are we opposed to? Therein lies the question. See, rather than thinking about just don't resist anything. So when a young woman at a college frat party is in the process of being grabbed in order to be taken advantage of and raped, she is not to resist. She is to simply surrender and go with the attacker and let the attack, right? Like, pay attention here. We say, don't resist arrest. But if the arresting officer is the Gestapo, does that change the energy? See, the word itself is not the issue. We have to ask ourselves, what is my opposition to whatever this is? Am I opposed to surrendering and moving into this vision? Am I in resistance to my idea of forgiving someone? That it's easier to stay in the energy of conflict. Be mindful. Am I rejecting the idea that I am worthy? Then yes, that form of resistance is not life-affirming to who and what we are. But if I am being mindful that resistance is also a form of testing and tempering. You go to your primary care physician and they tell you, so I'm going to push against your arm and I want you to resist, because it shows your primary care physician how strong you are. There is a time and a place for us to be in the energy of resistance. In the grand scheme, in the world of exercise, we know that there are resistance bands. Not a band like NSYNC, not a band like the Rolling Stones, no, like a rubber band. It's a thing, a tool by which we use to create greater strength. So once again, the word is not the issue. It's the energy behind the word. It's the manner in which, it's the consciousness of what and how we are resisting, which means we have to be self-aware enough to know, am I resisting? And if I am resisting, then what is it saying I am committed to? Why am I resisting? What is the energy of what I am resisting? Through our self-awareness, we are able to then identify, this is the time to release and surrender. This is the time to yield. This is the time to speak up. This is the time to speak out. This is the time to sit down. This is the time to stand up. This is the time to take a knee. This is the time to pray. This is a time to, when we are self-aware enough, then we know what is the best course of action, what is ours to do. There's a passage in the Bible that says, submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Well, we know in metaphysics, what this is saying is, submit yourselves then to truth. Resist the lies, and that which is a lie must flee from you. Do not believe the lie. Move into this thing called truth. And see, some of us, we don't like the truth. We don't like being told how good and glorious and magnificent we are. So we resist that. It is easier to accept the lie about ourselves than to accept the truth about ourselves. What truths are you right now being encouraged to commit to? Right? Commit to. When we commit, there is no turning back. There is no change, quote unquote, changing our mind. If I am going to go skydiving and I commit to the dive, once I leave the plane, no matter how I flap my arms or try to swim in the air, there is no going back to the plane. I must now surrender to the effects of gravity and surrender to the awareness of, when I reach such and such and such a feat, pull the cord and surrender into the unknowingness of parachute. Right now, what are we being invited and encouraged to commit to? What truths are we being invited and encouraged to commit to? Ernest Holmes says, one of the greatest stumbling blocks in any man's spiritual advancement is dishonesty. The refusal to honestly face an idea, if that idea happens not to please him. This comes in part from the human tendency to take the line of least resistance, whether it be in our physical endeavors or in the operation of our mind. Confronted with an idea that repudiates one we have held for years, we go far out of our way entirely around the idea to keep from being compelled to analyze and possibly absorb it. Pause and breathe. When we are faced with an idea of truth, sometimes we will go so far out of our way to refuse that truth, because when we accept it, when we analyze it and we absorb it, we must change. We don't like to change, but that is the invitation to change, to surrender, to release, to forgive, to let go, to love, to self-care. Holmes goes on to say, our cry is, I do not like to believe that. Back of this is the fear that an idea may be forced into our consciousness, which will uncover to us our own responsibility. The ability for us to respond in a life-affirming manner is the thing that we avoid. We don't want to be responsible. I don't want to be responsible for sexism, racism, homophobia. I don't want to be responsible for addiction. I don't want to be responsible for the condition of. And so what do? I bury my head in the sand. I pull my head into the shell. I don't treat because I don't want to move my feet. I don't speak. I don't analyze. I don't absorb the truth that there is only one power, and that power is infinite goodness itself. And what it is, I call forth. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be responsible. It's easier for me to twiddle my spiritual thumbs and just wish. It's easy for me to just go in my own little meditation corner and breathe and say, it's all God and it's all good. Even though the numbers of people dying as a result of are rising, it's all God and it's all good. Yes, in the absolute, that is 1000% true. And yet in the relative, in the lived experience, that is not the truth we are seeing live as an experience. But what does Holmes say? This is our greatest stumbling block, the refusal to accept truth because it makes us responsible. What is the hindrance to the commitment? We just spoke about that. The hindrance is, I don't want to commit to something because I'm responsible. Think about a relationship. The moment you commit to a relationship, you are responsible in that relationship. Whether that's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whatever that relationship is, once you commit, you are now responsible in some way, shape, or form to how you show up and your impact in that relationship. But once again, when we get to this idea of non-resistance, there's a whole lot of words that we make non-resistance. Okay, so, So wait a minute. What? Pause. Yeah, I don't like any of that. I don't like the concept. I don't like the energy. So I'm gonna just completely bypass and act like it doesn't exist. Because I'm going to get so enmeshed and immersed in this idea of I'm going to be for. I'm not even going to think about this other concept or idea. What is that doing, though? In the Science of Mind magazine, August 1993, it said, true non-resistance is the surrender of every arrogant attitude. Say what again? It is the surrender of every arrogant attitude of mind to good and to good alone. Those who have made this surrender have found real peace of mind, happiness, and wholeness in the only place that it can be found, which is within themselves, which is within their own lives, their own lived experiences. So non-resistance, what does that mean? Normally, when we think of non-resistance, we're thinking of let go and let God. Yeah. For the most part, it's going into the flow. Yes, it is surrendering. It is letting go. It is saying that my time as a caterpillar has come to an end and it is time for me to surrender, to let go, to allow the transformation of truth have its way with me that I may become what is my next greater yet to be. But do we like that? According to Holmes, our greatest obstacle is we're like, whoa. Pause, dude, pause. You say, what? Wings? Dude, I'm a caterpillar. I'm used to walking. I don't have a flyer's license. I'm not a pilot. I'm not trying to fly. I'm used to this tree and these leaves and my other caterpillar friends of like mind. You're asking me to change and give up what I've known, what I've been used to do what? To be something different? I'm good. I'm good. I'm used to not forgiving. I'm used to not letting go. I'm used to being this small, weak person who doesn't shine their light. It's very dim. I don't want to stand out. I recede into the background so far that you don't even see me in the background. You just see the background. I'm used to that. I'm used to these friends who, criticize me and judge me. We commiserate together. You don't understand. They get me. They understand me. You're asking me to be something different. So we resist it. We don't like the idea of surrendering and letting go. We say let go and let God. And typically when we say that, we are anthropomorphizing God as if God is this something that's going to take care of it for us, rather than I let go and that which is God as me, I let it have its way in, through, and as me. I let that part of my imaginal cellular structure birth me as this newly emerging phoenix, butterfly, enlightened being, whatever that is. I let it be. What did Sue say? And all is well in, through, and as my soul. All is well. But in order for that all is wellness to be the truth of my being, I have to surrender into. I have to allow this idea of commitment to rise up. I have to be committed to being well. I have to be committed to the consciousness of wellness for it to be my experience. Florence Scovel Shinn, who wrote My Word is My Wand, said, resistance is hell, for it places man in a state of torment. Now, once again, we have to be mindful of when she says resistance, what is she referring to? She is referring to the idea of not accepting or committing to the truth of your being. To the caterpillar that resists, then it's hell, because there is that which is all that you are, calling forth to be something new, and you're like, no, no. So now you are in a state of absolute conflict with the very nature of your being, which clearly must be hell, because hell is that place or that state of consciousness where we accept the lies about ourselves. You're weak. You're unintelligent. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not thin enough. You're not light enough. You're not something. You're not godly enough. You're not divine. You're not holy. You're not. That's hell. Believing any of that about ourselves. What does our resistance say about our commitments? Think about ways or times in your life that resistance is or has been less life-affirming for you. What kinds of things do you resist that are beneficial in your life, to your life? Sometimes we resist things that we know are beneficial to us. Rest, take time to sleep, drink more water, be around people who love you. We resist that because it's habit. We know there are things that are beneficial to us, and yet we do not take the time. We do not invest the time. We do not commit to it enough to support our lives. Do you resist self-care? Do you resist forgiveness? Do you resist surrendering? Because to surrender is waving the white flag. That's a sign of weakness. Do you resist saying no? Oh yeah, I'll do that. Yes, of course, I'll do that too. And I'll do that and put more things on my plate. Matter of fact, my plate is overflowing, so give me another plate so I can keep saying yes and yes and yes and yes until I am actually saying no to me and my life. Because my yes to everything and everyone is far more important than my self-care. So I will run myself into the ground, to a grave by saying yes to everyone else. When will we say no as a full sentence? Because it is an act of self-care. What does this resistance demonstrate you are committed to? Because it is a demonstration of commitment. What is it that it's saying you're committed to? Now, think of ways or times in your life that resistance is or has been an effective life-affirming thing. Resisting oppression, for example, resisting genocide, resisting any of the isms. Is that not life-affirming? Now, I understand that there is a fine line between the energy of being obsessed about the oppression and the genocide and the racism, sexism, where now our consciousness is actually promoting or creating more of the energy. There's always been war, there's always going to be war. The poor you will have with you always. That consciousness of that, yes, it promotes it, it keeps it alive. There's a fine line. However, there is also that critical point of energetic alignment where we know that this form of resistance, you want me to do what? You want me to stand up and go to the back of the bus? No, I resist this law. It is unjust, it is inequitable. You want me to salute to Hitler? No, I resist this form of fascism. You want me to do what? No, I'm taking a knee. You want me to do what? No, I'm waving the rainbow flag. I am an ally. There is that time when resisting oppression is life-affirming. Resisting temptation to yield to the addiction. When the addiction calls itself forth and it's like, but I need a drink, but I want that donut, but I need sex, but I have to work 70 hours a week, but I have to do this. I have to, because I'm trying to avoid something. Being able to resist that is life-affirming. If you are resisting X, Y, and Z, what is that saying that you are committed to being, doing, and having in your life and in the world? See, once again, it's about understanding the energy of what's behind the word rather than the word itself. Ernest Holmes said, now, I like to feel that faith is operated upon by a principle so that I won't feel that I have to energize the energy. Because if I had to energize the energy, I wouldn't know where I would get the energy with which to energize the energy. Like if I had to create electricity, I have to create electricity to be able to put electricity in the world. I don't know how to, that ain't electricity. Digging in my nose ain't electricity. Right? Where do I begin? I don't even know. Maybe if I grow an afro and I don't know. If I build it, I don't know but where's that stat? I don't know. But thankfully, what he's saying is there is a principle, the law that we anchor into. The law is the energizing principle. He goes on to say, This is one of the secrets of Jesus, non-resistance. Don't fight the law, work with it, allow it to live, move, and have its beingness in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your words, and in your actions. Work in alignment with it. Do not work in alignment with that which is less than life-affirming. Do not work in alignment with that which is the lies about who and what we are. Work in alignment with truth. Work in alignment with love and law. Dr. Joseph Murphy said, if you set up resistance in your mind to the flow of life through you, this emotional congestion, also referred to as constipation, will get snarled up in your subconscious mind and cause all kinds of less than life-affirming conditions. Mental constipation, emotional constipation will get us snarled up, snared within, trapped within this subconscious mind that causes all kinds of conditions that are not life-affirming. In The Art of Aikido, the founder Morihei Ueshiba says, non-resistance is one of the principles of Aikido because there is no resistance. You have won before even starting. People whose minds are quote unquote evil or who enjoy fighting are defeated without there even being a fight. See, the moment we believe the lie, we are already defeated. But the moment we surrender into law, there is no need to fight anymore. The moment we anchor into the truth with a spiritual mind treatment, we are already set free. We are already in the knowingness that all is well. Our minds are open, our hearts are open. We are now sharing and breathing from the very soul of our essence into a world that works for all. But once again, we have to know what the energy is. What energy are we anchored into? What energy are we moving from and through and as? Resist when it is life-affirming. Surrender when it is life-affirming. Deny when it is life-affirming. Pause, because I know some of you are like, deny. Keep in mind, there is that time when doing spiritual mind treatments that the practitioner will state a denial. For example, what I am knowing in this moment right here and right now, that there is no man, woman, or person who has the ability or power to deny the truth of what God is. There is no illness or sickness that can defeat who and what I am as the very incarnation of spirit. That's a denial. So it is fine to deny when it is a life-affirming denial, and allow when that allowance is life-affirming. See, we have this ebb and flow, but once again, it is far more about the energy than it is about the word. Our self-awareness is what allows us, what gives us the realization to know what's going on in my mind, my feelings, my words, my actions. What is that demonstrating in the world? Is it demonstrating that I am resistant to truth? Is it demonstrating that I am believing the lie? I am allowing the lies to marinate in my mind. Like, what is it saying? Self-awareness. That is why we do the spiritual practices, to keep our mind, our heart, our spirit, our soul, our awareness open to the alignment of what truth is. Diane Harmony said, faith is a spiritual conviction that what we know has greater power than any apparent material appearance and or resistance. Thus, in faith, we can surrender into the vision of our I am and know at the deepest level of our being that it is that which God is within us and that it is what does the work. So what is this? When we surrender, we are allowing. Allowing being this idea of permitting and letting and recognizing, empowering and accepting. I permit more and more good into my life. I let God be God as me. I recognize my magnificence. I am living an empowered life. I accept all the good that I can conceive of. And breathe. Our exercises that we are encouraged to engage in this week are, ask yourself, what am I committed to in my life right now? And what is the evidence of this? What do I tend to resist in ways that are not life-affirming? And lastly, have a conversation with tres personas. Oh, muy bien. Have a conversation with 3 people about the concepts surrender, permitting, allowing, releasing. What do these concepts mean to you, and what is the invitation as it relates to your commitments in your life? And we breathe. This week's affirmation or declaration, I will say it first and then together if you are feeling so called. Together. I am committed to the highest vision for my life. Together. I am committed to the highest vision for my life. And we breathe that in. Now let us know that even though service is coming to a close, that which we are as spirit in service to and through and as itself never ends, never ends. Even when this body is shed, that which spirit is as ever expanding consciousness. Because what does our declaration of principles say? That we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. So that which God is as infinite service to itself, through itself, by itself, and as itself, always was, always is, and always will be. So we know, we declare, we touch and agree, and we call this service, we call this living in joy, this commitment to releasing fear, this commitment to embracing love, this commitment to being awesome, being whole, being perfect, being complete. We accept it, we are committed to it, we are convicted of it and by it. And all is well. And so it is. Love you.